Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. We are on, I believe, part 6 by now. This is the ending part of Introduction to the Environmental Quality Act 1974, the Malaysian Environmental Law. Now, what I have in front here is a summary so that you can visualize or you can read the names of those subsidiary regulations in full. Okay, if you want to check the law or you want to check with the law book that you purchased, this is the name of the laws, the regulations in full. Now, I have divided this into scopes, and this scope is talking about what are the provisions under the Environmental Quality Act which uh, governs air pollution or control air pollution. Okay, in the administration of air pollution control, the Environmental Quality Act divided the sources of air pollutant into two sources. One is over here, fixed sources, and the other one is mobile sources. Okay, so for fixed sources, these are talking about emissions generated from industries. Basically, these are fixed sources, as you know, including ports, okay, harbors, where you have got some a reception facility in some shipyard. For example, you've got some reception facility and maybe a sludge or slurry reception facility that you have got some well, boiler or things like that, a furnace or whatever is installed over there that causes the emission of air pollutant or air impurities into the atmosphere. These are all regarded as fixed sources. Other examples of fixed sources, including that of the generator sets that we used in construction areas where project developers, the main contractor, would install generator sets, and thereby the operation of these diesel generator sets would lead to the emission of diesel smoke, dust, etc. Yeah, so these are also construction sites are also considered to be fixed sources. What else could I think of fixed sources? It's difficult when I'm doing this training alone, because when I have a public in front of me, I've got some good leads from people who say certain things. Um, yeah, I've covered ports. I think I've covered, like a power generator plants, like power generating plants. Using coal and diesel, these are also fixed sources. What else could I think of? Yeah, for the moment, that's about it, I guess. Now, this is the regulation for these fixed sources is called Environmental Quality Clean Air Regulations 2014, which is relatively new. The previous regulations was Environmental Quality Clean Air Regulation 1978. And with the entry into force of this new regulation, the old regulation has phased out June 2019, if not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's 5 years of grace period. So now it's all about regulations, Clean Air Regulation 2014. I believe the DOE, I'm not representing DOE now, but I believe the DOE enforcement is now geared up and already beginning to enforce this new regulation. And if you're an auditor from certification bodies or any other audit pool of auditors, please make sure you understand this particular regulation. And I will be covering it, I believe, in the next part, probably part 6 and 7, yeah, of the clean air regulation. It's quite lengthy, so please listen carefully when I cover clean air regulations. Now, that's fixed sources. What about mobile sources? It's very interesting. Over here you have got this regulation, control of lead concentration in petrol, motor gasoline. This is an American word, motor gasoline. I believe this is picked from US EPA. Anyway, in this country, our petrol is no longer containing lead. It has phased out based on this regulation. This is all complying now. However, we have got another regulation which affects many of us. Yeah, motor vehicle noise. I believe most of my friends in the WhatsApp group, many of them are having motor vehicle, and some of them are having motorbikes. The for the bikers, okay, I think the two wheels are in limelight now because of Sepang circuit, because of SIC, and because of Dato what you call Razlan Razali and gang and all these people. Oh, of course, Valentino Rossi. Now let's go back to the law. Now we have obligation to ensure that the noise generated from our exhaust pipe, when measured at a distance of 0.5 meter from the outlet of our exhaust at an angle. I believe this is done by the manufacturers like Yamaha, Kawasaki, Honda, Suzuki, Triumph, Ducati, etc. I believe they have done this test, and their standard pipes passed the restrictions very well. The law says that for, I'm talking about more than 125 cc, because the law classify into two broad categories. One is below 90 cc, one is between 90 to 125 cc, and the rest is above 125 cc. So if you're having more than 125 cc, how we do the test is by looking at the manufacturer specification. If you're talking about let's say Ninja 250R, not the 4 inline but the 2 twin cylinder inline, the maximum power output is in the region of say 12,000 rpm, rotation per minute. So how we do the test is, there's a formula, n over 2. N is the RPM that the bike is, or the bike is producing maximum output, maximum horsepower. So if the maximum horsepower from a Ninja 250 is around 12,000 RPM, so what we do is we rev at 6,000 RPM. All right, we rev at 6,000 RPM. Just before we let go the throttle, close the throttle, the noise level meter is already on. So the noise level meter will record at maximum rev of 6,000 RPM, bring it down to 0. That gradient of noise, the highest level of noise is being read. Now I am imagining if you are having a Ducati Superleggera standard pipe, it's not so noisy, but if you were to have, say, BMW S1000RR standard pipe, it would comply. But if you change the pipe to SC project and you remove the decibel cap, it's probably something else. Because the maximum level of noise allowed from this exhaust of motorcycles, based on the law, this law, okay, 99 decibel A. It's quite loud, 99 decibel A, but I tested on a SC project of ZX6R 636 Kawasaki. The SC project is not only giving me 120 20 decibel A, and when I release the throttle, it gives me fire. So it's all the popping. So, gentlemen, boys, if you're on bikes, this is something that you should know. And if you are driving, say, Nissan Skyline GTR with fancy exhaust, or even Proton Satria with fancy exhaust, I think you know what to look at. All right. So I wouldn't be going into detail, but I'll have to move into the next one. This one, diesel emission diesel emission vehicles. This is black smoke. This is also enforced by DOE from time to time, but now it has been delegated to Puspacom to do the test on a regular basis, and I believe as a periodic test done when these vehicles are supposed to renew road tax, things like that. I'm not in that, but I was told by Puspacom. And also, we are here, my friend. We are using cars and we are using petrol. What do you think? Is your emission from your petrol with your RON 95, RON 97 is complying? What do you think? Do you think you're complying? Do I think I'm complying? The law has got a lot of classification. CBU, CKD has got different, The opacity is still using Hartridge smoke unit, but there are some other emissions. Wow, you even have prohibition order for smoke and all this. The engine, diesel engine thing, and wow. Mass of carbon monoxide, mass of hydrocarbon, mass of nitrogen oxides, NOx, oxides of nitrogen, mass of particulate per kilowatt hour. Wow, so all these are in grams. So we have got to, we call it the free acceleration test for smoke tests. Is all there? So from petrol engines, we have got, wow, limits. Yeah, I'm trying to look at the law because I seldom use this law. So you've got mass reference of carbon monoxide. That's the most important parameter for our petrol car, which is carbon monoxide. And even we have got mass of carbon monoxide, meaning loading. Yeah, loading mass per time is loading. So for our car is carbon monoxide and hydrocarbon. Let's get to the workshop and test for this one of these days. So our concern is mass of carbon monoxide. Okay. For new models after 97, our mass of carbon monoxide shouldn't be more than 2.72 gram per kilometer, meaning per distance, per kilometer we travel, we should not emit more than 2.72. And nitrogen oxides, gram, 0.97 gram per kilometer. So that is, wow. Okay, so yeah. Hopefully workshops will be able to give us guide on all this, and we have got to comply to all these regulations. All right. Now we are seldom exposed to these regulations though, like motor vehicle noise, but diesel emission, I believe it's quite popular among diesel engines of big vehicles like lorries, trucks, buses, etc., because they are dealing with JPJ, Puspacom, and also DOE in roadblocks. But when they talk about motor gasoline, lead, no, we don't measure lead when we buy petrol. This is a regulation imposed on the manufacturer and importer. Manufacturer and importer of petrol. Now, the last two regulation is diesel engines emission. This is also, so sorry, the second, this one, motor vehicle noise, and this one is affecting us, as ordinary users. Okay, the noise, as you know, 99 decibel A, maximum torque, maximum power, maximum horsepower, RPM. That RPM divided by 2, start measuring. And for the petrol engines, it's carbon monoxide and hydrocarbon. Okay, so these are all regulated as well. Now let's take a look at the next slide. What have Okay, water pollution. The scope here is the EQA controls regulate the control of water pollution. And we are talking really about inland waters. I believe you know what's inland water by now. Inland water is beginning from the spring, from hills and mountains, flows into river, lakes, and gets into groundwater, aquifer. These are all inland water. It's being tapped in an artesian well. Artesian well is also inland water, or there is a dam for potable water collection. That is also inland water. The river flows downwards, downstream into some lakes. That is also what they call inland water system. Right up to the river mouth, that is also inland water system, up to the level of the lowest astronomical tide. That is where inland water system stopped administratively and legally. All right, so that's inland water. Lowest astronomical tide towards the sea. These are all marine water. Got it? Right. So now these are the laws under the Environmental Quality Act, which is the first one. Let's take a look at this one. This is on a prescribed premise for palm oil mill, which is in order. All right, and it means palm oil mill is being licensed by DOE, and this law is 1977. It's a long time ago. All right, and there's another law because this law regulates what's the effluent discharge, normally BOD parameters. What is the maximum allowable discharge from palm oil mill if they are, discharging into lakes and streams, and then these limits are stipulated in the license issued by the DOE every year. Okay, and also for the rubber factory. We're talking about latex concentrate manufacturing. There's a lot of wastewater which normally contains high BOD as well, and COD, and even zinc. These are some of the parameters. These premises, like the manufacture of latex concentrates and also SMR, cup lumps, etc. These are all premises which are prescribed, meaning licensed by the DOE. Now, there's another law here which is relatively new or currently in use, which is Industrial Effluent Regulations 2009, which is a regulation that also which is also promulgated to control and prevent excessive pollution of the river water or the inland water system other than effluents coming from palm oil mill and rubber-based industries. And there's another regulation here on the sewage regulation. These are all coming from household dwellers, townships, where some of them now have got centralized sewage treatment system. From the entire city would go to that centralized sewage treatment system, which is being treated, and prior discharge, the quality of effluent by the parameters regulated must comply to the sewage regulation 2009. The same thing, like from your house and my house, it goes into the underground sewer right up to a centralized, perhaps oxidation ditch belonging to a municipal or belonging to a government-related contractor, whereby we got to pay on a half-yearly basis. Remember, 25 ringgit per year is about 50, and they are taking the responsibility with the fees that we to pay for the operation of their, so far I see only biological treatment, a surface aeration technique, but using a few surface aerator, which honestly I'm telling you consumes a lot of power. I hope these people would convert to solar power, to turn their surface aerator, not to use energy that is being supplied by TNB. Is expensive, but doesn't matter. I think you and I, we know what's the liability over there. Now, the next slide, I'm showing you marine water. This one doesn't affect us, but it's being enforced by the DOE. They've got units that have got to go offshore from time to time via helicopter, and most of the time now, unless there is a major spillage in the sea, the DOE will be involved in the administration of the law. However, the enforcement and the other part of getting evidence and investigation are being done by these are the people, as I have written down here, from the port officer, ship surveyor, right up to a fisheries department, Royal Malaysian Navy, Royal Malaysian Police, and the Customs and Excise Department. Because these people, these enforcement units, they have guns, simple as that. So if you don't want to stop, when I want to stop you, I have got to shoot a bullet in the air to scare. So most of these people carry guns, and the DOE, we don't, they don't carry guns, not that I know of. So environmental quality, the delegation of powers. Under this delegation of Marine Pollution Control Order 1993 and also 1994, these people are being given what do you call it, the power to exercise the authority of Director General of Environment. Okay. And there is another slide which I will share with you. These are all about pollution onto land. So we have covered inland water, marine, and now land. Talking about dumping, talking about sludge used as additional fertilizer in agriculture sites. Are they illegal? Now look at this. These are all, for example, Regulation 13 and 15 of this law, Regulation 13 of this law. These are permitting, these are regulation that enable some of these premises like latex or rubber-based industry and also palm oil-based industry to dispose their waste, which is normally in a form of effluent, which is very high in suspended solids, COD even touching 20 to 24 milligram per liter, at a flow rate of ranging from 25 to about almost 200 cubic meter per hour, into certain designated land area for, they call it land application, and normally is for the purpose of soil enhancer, literally fertilizer, additional fertilizer for these areas. All right, so this is allowed under the law with strict supervision and monitoring by personnel from the DOE. Is a tough work. Now, that is why rubber factory and palm oil mill are being licensed by DOE on annual basis until some of them has developed good treatment techniques such as the sequential batch reactor, whereby they were able to bring down BOD from 14,000, 18,000 to about 5 milligram per liter BOD in using a sequential batch reactor. So these people have got less to pay for their BOD license. Okay, these are people who have got to pay for the license based on BOD loading. I can't remember how much now, but this is how the law is nice. It is there. It is good. Um, Now the next one is a little bit controversial. As you know, this one is on Schedule Waste Regulations 2015. We got to blame ourselves, especially when we are from the industries. We are sometimes crude, not all, okay? A few unscrupulous industries are crude. Just because of these few people, the department or the government has lost some uh, trust in industries. It's about one bad apple spoiled the whole bunch. Do you remember Pantaramis incident, Bukit Merah incident, Prai incident, Kulim incident, Port Dickson incident, Malacca incident? Johor is a lot of incidents, namely the most famous is Kim Kim and a few others. They were not done by the industry. All this illegal or unscrupulous dumping of scheduled waste, for instance, for that matter, were done by a subcontractor to the main contractor. This is what I found out. How does it happen? You cannot have a subcontractor from the main contractor because the main contractor is licensed. The subcontractor just carry a photocopy of the main contractor's license, and the waste generator got to go to court. What does it mean? Now I'll cover schedule waste, and you got to listen carefully. And please inform all those people in between waste generator and contractor to listen to this video. I mean, when I'm talking about schedule waste, they got to listen. They don't have the liability, and we appoint them and pay them. What is that for? Sorry, I've got to say a stupidity. Okay, now let's get to look into this. And this is a lot of premises now who are given license to treat schedule waste, especially sludges. Okay, and they have a stabilization technique. They got a secure landfill to fill up the ash or some other waste which doesn't go treatment, and also they've got incinerator, schedule waste incinerator, which burn at temperatures like 1200 Celsius, a temperature which materials like dioxin doesn't get burnt. Okay, these are all the scope. I summarize excuse me, these regulations based on the scope, right? Pollution onto land, pollution of water, pollution, mobile sources, etc. I hope this gives you some idea of how well organized is the Environmental Quality Act. But in the next part, we'll get into the interpretation of the law. I hope I'm able to help you in any way, but please listen carefully. If it's not similar, it's not the same. If we do face-to-face training, I would be able to answer you impromptu, but right now if you write and ask in WhatsApp or in the command area of YouTube, sometimes what you write is too short. I didn't get the background of the problem, then I might be giving you the wrong answer. So try and avoid that. Try and meet me one of these days during training, and ask some of this question. And I don't like to type my answers down. I would like to scrutinize the situation. What is the background of your concern? Then I will be able to apprehend and comprehend and apprehend the situation and give you the most accurate answer. based on my experience. All right. So I believe that's about it for this part. So have a nice day. Have a good time, and please use all these to train your staff. And you can edit and add your own pictures. No copyright, no nothing. So thank you very much for your attention. I end this session with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Take care. See you in the next part. Bye.